And good afternoon, Buffaloes fans, Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy Nation, into the Buffaloes podcast, season 3, episode 20. We got three guests in total joining the show, two different interviews for you all. But before we get into any of that, just want to wish all the students down in Pilot Mountain the best of luck getting back to school. Semester 2 has started this week. We're past exams at this point, and at this point, too, in the hockey season, we're getting ready for the final push before the playoffs. Playoffs are going to be starting next month, and yeah, a bunch of teams in the academy, all four teams in the academy, are going to be active playing either a game or games, plural, this weekend. And yeah, what better guest to talk about it with me than Gordie Tumilson, who joins this edition of the Buffaloes podcast, as he has been all season long, to talk about the past weekend and upcoming weekend of games for the teams in the academy, as well as go into some recruitment stuff too, as we'll be showing you a video a bit early or later on in this episode. First off, Gordie's going to be joining the show next here on the Buffaloes podcast with the man himself. Gordie Tumilson joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Gordie, we're starting off with the oldest male team in the academy, the U18 male preps, as they are going to be going up against a few different teams in an East-West type of showdown down in Quebec coming up this weekend. So yeah, take us through what's going to be an interesting weekend for this team.
Yeah, I'm just checking my notes here. I want to make sure this is a brand new, first time ever East-West Challenge for the CSSHL, and good on them. They've recognized that now that they've got teams in both East and Western Canada, of course, I guess the organization's been in place with five teams back in 2009, and then now, almost 20 years later, I guess 17 years later, here we are. With teams right to PEI. And so they've taken on the East 3 or 4 years ago, added some teams there. There's probably, I think there's 40 organizations and 120 plus teams now in the CSSHL. So a very expensive program. I mean, when you get when you get right down to it, I'm talking to parents all the time, and they wonder how people do it. But at the end of the day, for anywhere from 25,000 probably to $60,000 per child per year to play in this program. But money seems to be not a problem for the hockey elite in a lot of ways. It does get in the way of a lot of kids, though. I mean, and that's why
Yeah.
we need to keep our eye on AAA and AA and make sure those programs exist and function and do well. But anyway, lots of things going on, and this is one of those. This is the first time this particular event, and the U18 Pilot Mound male team has an opportunity to play in this, and way to go, our guys, to fit in. There's 14 teams, and we are the 13th seed, and that's probably due not, and that's not a bad thing, by the way. Um, that's a good thing. We got in, and Anthony and Mason, our coaches, have done a great job of getting this particular team, this particular season, along the way. And I think they've talked about consistency and discipline as being the two things that have helped them get there. And so their discipline comes to the fact that they're the fourth least penalized team in the CSSHL at U18. And that augurs well for them playing against some of these top teams that they're going to play against down the road. So this is a pretty neat deal for our kids, flying to Quebec, playing in a pretty nice facility there, and playing against some of the top teams in the league. So good on the league for doing this, and our guys getting part to be able to participate.
Yeah, and they'll be opening up against Ontario Hockey Academy on Friday. They'll be taking on Stansted College and then Rothsay Netherwood School coming up on the Saturday. But yeah, I mean, hockey, an expensive sport, right, Gordie? And it will be great when we hopefully see a day when the price barrier maybe it goes down a bit, just so we can get more kids playing this sport potentially. I know that that's been of course, for the ordinary person, always a big issue with putting their kids into hockey, right? But in terms of this U18 squad, they're still searching for their first win here in 2026. Although they haven't gotten in the win column as of yet, they have given teams some close games, just lacking a bit of finish at this point. So knowing that playoffs is close, they get to play some teams from the East compared to who they usually play in this really cool East-West challenge coming up. How huge is this weekend in particular for this team to gain some confidence or get some confidence back, knowing that they could potentially win again?
Well, sure. Obviously, that's the whole goal is winning some games when you play them. Uh, I guess if you take the wins and losses out, it's which we do quite conveniently sometimes because we're not the winningest organization in the world, and yet we're pretty darn competitive. And this team has been competitive. Like all of our teams on the weekend past. All but one game of 6 games were one or two goals losses, and so you lose the games, but you lose them by one, not by 14 or 10 or 9 or whatever the number is. So you're competitive. Yeah, sometimes we don't have the finish. We don't get the players that other guys do that have that natural goal scoring ability, and you can forget about talking about that forever. But so it's hard work, scoring goals by committee, getting to the net. So those are skills that you know what that teams that have fancy guys and soft hands and all that stuff, you need some of these kind of players that can go to the net and battle and scramble and battle in the corners and do those things and not be afraid to stand in front of the goal and the guys are ripping them from the point. Those are tough guys, and if you don't have the skills that make you a Connor McDavid and Mark Scheifele and all those kind of guys, guess what? You need to be a tough guy, a third and fourth line, and quite often, you get into playoffs, and this is why the Floridas and the Tampa Bays and the other teams have won Stanley Cups lately in the NHL because they find these guys who can go to the net and tip a puck in that typically wouldn't happen during the season, but they're in front of the goal and they're doing their thing. So we're getting to teach those kind of kids, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so this is the kind of thing that bodes well for our program, is that we don't have the soft hand kids, but we got the tough kids, and the tough kids, and the end of the season, in going to the playoffs, when everybody's trying a little extra harder, they're just working their buns up, they're blocking shots where they might not, they're digging harder around the net in the corners, bashing down the boards, winning those one-on-one battles. Boy, I'll tell you what. These are the kind of kids that teams just love to have on their roster because they make the wins and losses happen. They get rid of the losses that make the wins happen. Sorry. So good on our kids to have that opportunity and show. Now they're in Quebec and they're showing people, oh, this is what Pilot Mound looks like. We saw them, we looked at their record, we didn't think they were very good, but look at this team. So their record might not be super, but at the end of the day, look at how tough they are and what kind of players come out of the academy. So it's not a bad thing. In this case, it's going to be a good thing. Yeah.
Get to see if that hard work, that type of gritty mentality this team plays with will pay off this weekend coming up as they'll be heading down to Saint Roch de l'Achigan. I don't know if I said that right
No, you
completely.
didn't.
I'm out of practice, Gordie. I'm out of practice trying to see if my French will come back, but it
No.
seems like it's failing. But Complex JC Perot will be where the venue of these games will be held at. And for Pilot Mountain, going up against, like we said, teams from Ontario and other places in this challenge, the first year that they're running this, the CSSHL. But as for the other teams in the academy, so we take a look at the U17s, Gordie. They had a chance to go down to Devon and Edmonton, Alberta, taking on Nax and OHA Edmonton in two competitive games for the Academy, even though they ended up on the wrong side of the score.
Yeah, again, we didn't win any games of the seven, but again, six of them, two of these two games were 1 and 2 goals. And so at the end of the day, you're playing against those teams that are almost seeded by the Western Hockey League. I mean, the Western Hockey League has their favorite places to put players who make who they've drafted. And guess what? We're not on that road. So, we go out there and scramble for players, whereas the WHL and other teams, sort of seed these people. I'm not crying in my soup here. That's what it is. It's just that's the way it is. We know that. We're working very hard to kind of try and change that. And the likes of Benson Hurst and Carson Carls and those kinds of kids are helping us to make some of that mentality change. But in the meantime, we just go out and find the best kids, the kids who want to be here, who are trying their best to move up. And again, those are the kids that make that third and fourth lines in the NHL and make those teams better and Stanley Cup challengers. So, that's okay. We're a goal short here and there, but games are competitive, and our kids are getting better, and that's what matters.
And just taking a look at the scores from these two games, how they started off for the Academy. They kind of saw things fall apart in that second period, giving up 4 goals to Max in the first game, and then it was a 4 goal period given up in period number one in the next one against OHA. So I feel like this has kind of been a trend as of late, teams against teams in the academy being able to strike big outputs in a given period. Where do you think? I guess things are exactly going wrong in that sense for Pilot Mound. Does it just come down to, like we've said, other teams, their skill truly shining through?
Yeah, I think you're right there. I don't think our kids are stopping playing and not trying. Certainly, I know they're not stopping playing and not trying. The
No doubt.
goalie kids are trying like crazy. Yeah, the other teams have got that exceptional talent. So, you know, if they're going to put pressure on you, and that's fine. You're learning to handle that. You're trying to play more of the game at the other end of the rink, but they've got talented people who make passes that oh my gosh, how do they make that pass? And those are the kinds of things that happen. You can't stop them a lot of the times, and that's the nature of the beast. That's how hockey players get better and make millions of dollars in pro hockey is because they've got those kinds of skills. So you're forced to kind of deal with it. And when those kids get on a roll, and those elite kids get on a roll, wow, and it's almost fun to watch them if if they weren't playing against our guys. Because, man, that's talent. They're putting the puck in small spaces on goalies, making passes that you wouldn't normally see, those kinds of things. So, it's great hockey to watch, and it's incumbent of our guys to try and mitigate some of those larger scoring against periods, but they happen, and you just deal with them. You come back the next period and you shut them down again. You're trying to win the next period. So it's shift by shift, period by period. See what the score is at the end of the game.
Yeah, and sometimes the bounces just favor
Hmm.
one team over another, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes a team gets hot and it's tough to stop them, and that seemed to be the case in a couple of
Sure.
periods. But for Pilot Mound, they're going to get both of these teams coming up at home
Yep.
on the Saturday and Sunday this upcoming weekend. So looking to turn the tide against these teams, looking to get back in the win column. But more importantly, this team getting that advantage of staying home and not having to travel. Potential to benefit off that, I assume, for this team this weekend in Pilot Mountain.
Well, you hope so. I mean, you're playing on the rink. It's 200 by 85. Doesn't matter where you play. They're all 200 by 85 now. I mean, in our day, they're all over the place with sizes, but now they're all the same size pretty much, or in the same quality of buildings and all kinds of things like that. So once the kids get off the bus and get sort of oriented, get their bus legs, et cetera, fixed up, the games become pretty normal. So quite often, it's the first period that you might have an advantage at home. After that, it's probably game on for everybody, and what you get is what you get. And again, the talented kids have a bit of an opportunity, so maybe you can jump on them, get a bit of a lead, and then hold on or and force them to to play a little bit more defensively and not have those offensive opportunities and eke out a win here and there. So as the as you know, I was just reading on the about our U18 guys. We've beaten Nax and OHA or Edge, who are in that tournament in Quebec. And guess what? When you're beating teams that are supposed to be way above you, that augurs well for your confidence and the knowledge that you can beat some of these teams should everything kind of fit. And getting the fit's the hard part.
Right. And you mentioned if you're able to get up to that lead, play a bit more defensive. Would like to hear that Pilot Mound also continues to try to, play aggressive in the sense that you don't stop,
Yeah.
your scoring chances trying to generate them. Instead of preventing a lead, you're playing to extend it. Hopefully, Pilot Mound is able to get off to a pretty good start. Like you said, taking advantage of, maybe the sluggish start for the teams coming from the road, and then maybe they'll be able to grab that lead and play with it moving
Mhm.
forward. Looking forward to what should be two good games in Pilot Mound for them this upcoming weekend. As for the female Buffaloes, Gordie, they were at home. They're going to be on the road coming up for a game this weekend or two games this weekend, but they faced off against RHA Winnipeg, Balmoral Hall. I guess a big positive is 5 goals in total, a bit more offensive output, even though, you know, we don't even have to mention that score against Balmoral Hall. But
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
being able to see a bit more offense is always a good thing, isn't it?
Sure. I mean, scoring some goals is a bonus for that team. Yeah, Belmont Hall's they could be national champions. I'm sure that if they're not, they're going to be right there. So good on them to be that good and whatnot. So yeah, scoring some goals is not a bad thing for our team. Giving him some positivity, et cetera, et cetera. That always works well. But yep, we hopefully will be better coming up this weekend. Again, I think we've got two games in southern Alberta, if I'm not mistaken. Saha and maybe I can't remember the other
Be
team.
Edge. Edge would be
Okay,
the other one.
Edge. Okay, good. So yeah, so we're a little bit more competitive against those guys. They're a little bit further down the list in the standings. So good for us to have that better opportunity to be close or to win games. So and maybe we can keep that goal scoring going for the girls. They enjoy scoring. They don't get many.
From a goaltending perspective, we always talk about how it'd be ideal if they can try to keep shots down a bit, but that wasn't the case, especially against Balmoral Hall, where they faced 71 shots. Ali Adama, did she get both starts this weekend from what I saw?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
so
if we had a sickness or an injury. So yeah.
pretty crazy. A lot of rubber seen by her,
Yeah.
over 120 shots seen. From a goaltender's perspective, what goes through your mind in situations like that?
Well, it's really hard. The pucks are coming at you from every which direction. It never leaves your end, which is probably the hardest part. You never get a chance to get a breather. It's almost not the number of shots. It's being ready to stop the number of shots. So if they hit the net 120 times, I'm going to guarantee you there would be 160 or 70 shots towards the net. There's a TPE info sheet that comes out, and we get a look at where all the shots are from, where the goals go in, where the shots are wide. We get all that information, and people should know that out there in the real world, that there's a ton of information on face-offs and whatnot, and that we get for our teams. They get to look at that. They get to look at themselves play, who did what, percentage-wise. Excuse me. So, but Allie she'd be tired. And that would be that's the killer. You just get tired physically, and then so mentally that starts to drop off a little bit because you're ready the whole time. You're trying to breathe, and so now you haven't got the energy, the leg energy or body energy to stay up with the play. That's the hard part. You're resigned to the fact this is a really good team. You're going to get a lot of shots. No goalie in the world minds a lot of shots. You like to stop most of them. Sometimes you don't, and so you just go and play. That's your job. You do the best you can. Game's over. Reset for the next game. That's all you can do because if you take it home and you feel bad too long, You're not playing goalie very long. You're become a lunatic. So we're crazy enough as it is as a group, apparently, according to the real people, the normal people. So, Allie would be tired. She'd give it a great effort and carry on to the next game.
No, no, Gordie. Goalies, they're perfectly normal, right? I mean, standing in net, taking a bunch of fast shots, trying to do their best to save them, willingly getting hit by a puck, that hard black rubber disc. Yeah, you guys are totally sane, Gordy. But
Thank you.
pretty insane from Ali Adama. She's able to make over 100 saves this past weekend. She made 54 saves on 59 shots against in that 5-2 loss to RHA Winnipeg. And then, yeah, I mean, to be able to go out there and play a whole game when you face 71 shots the very next day
Well,
after
let me
facing such
jump in
bad.
here. The goalkeeper would rather be at that end than the other end when they get 10.
Right.
The goalie doesn't want to put their equipment on and get 10 or 20 shots. They're just going, what's a waste of my time? Why am I even here? So, you got that. Now they don't want 71. They like to get it down to 50 or less. 30 to 50 is kind of a nice game. And if you win, you win. You lose, you lose. You want to win some more. I mean, everybody likes to win. But that 30 to 50 range is pretty nice game. You got like you get into the flow of the game. You get it's you're not getting chunks of time where you're just standing there like a giant lump, freezing while the other guys down there waving their arms and blocking shots everywhere. So, there's kind of a saw off there. But goalies would rather have the most shots rather than the least shots. And then of course goalies get recognized much easier when you're on the team that's getting a lot more shots. So, coaches and other teams get to see you, and scouts, they get to see who you are and how you handle yourself emotionally and how you handle yourself physically on the ice. When you get scored on, you don't bow your head. You don't, it's just the way it is. You don't make, you're not hitting anybody with your stick. You're putting up with what's going on and maturing as a player and as a person. That's really important to the people that are scouting you who want to pick you for their next team.
No question about that. And yeah, you're so right. I mean, a goaltender will have a lot of spotlight on them, especially when they're facing a lot of shots, as Mrs. Adama did this past weekend. And well, for the Buffaloes, I'm sure on their mind is looking to limit those shot totals against them this upcoming weekend when they'll be going off to Medicine Hat and Calgary, Alberta to face off against Saha and the Edge. As for the Academy and to the recruiting side of things, they had just released a small little video, a promo video today.
Yeah.
As of course, as you know, Gordie, as we've been talking about, recruiting has been really ramping up at this point. That, of course, part of Pilot Mound's marketing tactics, right? Always putting stuff out on social media. Talk about the latest from that side of things.
Well, it's a great video, and basically the videos are meant to showcase various parts of the facilities, the players doing things, whatever they're doing. So we've got dressing room shots. We've got and got some great music, and the kids are having fun, and they're going from here to there, and they're on the ice, they're in the dressing room, they're in the fitness room, they're in the shooting bays. So we've got all those facilities, and they're all within. I think it's probably 500 yards. The dorms were here, and you got to go that way 100 yards to the rink and 300 yards to that way. So, yeah, the kids are literally they live sort of in the three areas: the school, the dorms, and the rink. And what else have you got? Because you're going to school, you're having study hall, you're trying to get your education, and you're trying to be a better hockey player. You get extra ice time. I mean, you can't get much better. And the food's amazing. I mean, we just talking. I just did the article with Scott Taylor and for Game On magazine. So I think I'm being featured for the first time in 7 years
Oh
as
man.
one of the guests. Anyway, so the kitchen serves 80,000 plus meals a year. They've got a chef. They don't have a cook. They got cooks, but they got a chef. It's a menu. I mean, this isn't just show up and eat whatever comes shows. Like at home having a peanut butter sandwich. You're not you're not doing that. There's a plan for every meal for every team when they go on the road. They take stuff with them. if they're going to Winnipeg, there's a different thing that they're getting from when they come home. They're not always just having a pizza at the other end because that's pretty easy. They're having better food. Is there better food than pizza? I'm not sure. But but at the end of the day, they're having different kinds of things. So, and good on the organization to have those kinds of things there for them. So, recruitment is ongoing. In fact, in an hour, I think, or hour and a half, we have our second family meeting with the goalie from Czechia. And they're quite interested in coming to see us, coming to play for us. And I know Isaac Friesen, who's our head recruiter in Pilot Mound, his name is on that video, and good for us to put that on there and his contact information. I am working on a second European scout. We have Matic Sevchuk right now, who's looking at Denmark and the Czech Republic. I have a Slovak Republic / me possibly flop over to the Czech Republic, another scout person who's got a lot of connections in there on social media in particular. So we're kind of trying to expand all of that, and social
Right.
media is huge for us.
Oh, no question, especially with how many kids are on it, right? And those are who you're trying to reach, high quality, not only high quality players, but high quality individuals too. And definitely social media makes it easier to reach a whole ton of people, as we've seen throughout time, Gordie. But as for this segment, we'll keep you all up to date on the latest from recruiting and latest from the teams in the academy as we continue to move forward here in season 3. But as for this one, Gordie, we're going to send you off now. Enjoy all the great hockey coming your way this weekend, and try to stay warm out there too. It's still pretty darn cold here in Manitoba.
Yeah, thanks, Graham. One last thing, real quick. I don't think we mentioned the U15 team. We're playing this weekend at the rink at 3:15 on the 7th of February. So, if we did, I didn't hear it. But anyhow, if you're in Winnipeg and you want to go see a good hockey game, these two teams go at it each other pretty heavy. So have some fun. Thanks for always as I sign off. Thanks, Graham.
And as I always say, it's always great to be joined by Gordie Tumilson as we were breaking down the past weekend of matchups that the teams in the academy had in the upcoming games. Diving into those a bit, we'll have more on how those end up going down next week. But yeah, as Gordie mentioned at the end of the segment, we didn't really get into this upcoming game for the U15 male prep Buffaloes, but they're going to be taking on RHA, looking to get into the wing column. They had two pretty competitive games last weekend against Saha or 2 weeks ago, that is they actually had this past weekend off to chill a bit and regroup, all that good stuff. They'll be back in action against RHA Winnipeg at the Rink Training Center, taking a short little road trip down to Oak Bluff, Manitoba, near Winnipeg, Manitoba, the big city here in the province. As for the male U17 preps, they're going to be in action down in Blackjack Street Arena to take on Nax as well as OHA Edmonton. Those games can be seen on Flow Hockey, I think, primarily, maybe even on Live Barn, as they state there. As for the female U18 preps, they'll be in Medicine Hat in Calgary, Alberta, starting on Friday against Saha, and then Saturday they take on the Edge. Those games can be seen on Flow Hockey. And then for the male U18 preps, they're going down to Montreal, Quebec, as they'll be taking on teams like Ontario Hockey Academy, Stansted College, and Rothsay Netherwood School. Sunday to be determined at this point, but if you're looking to catch those games from the U18 male preps, catch their action down in Quebec, you'll have a chance to check it out on Flow Hockey on Flow Sports if you do have a subscription to that service. Talked about recruiting a bit with Gordie Tumilson, mentioned that video that got released, and we're going to show you it now as it showcased the many great parts that make up Pilot Mound Hockey Academy. makes me a bit jealous, honestly, as a guy that played hockey for 12 years of my life. I mean, I don't know if I'd be ever good enough to play academy hockey, but for the players that do have the ability to do so, what a place Pilot Mound has become, how they've added on to it. And those shooting bays, I know if I was a player, I'd be spending a lot of time there. Always loved working on the shot. And, well, the upcoming two guests from Pilot Mound Hockey Academy's U15 Prep Buffaloes spoke highly about the services that Pilot Mound offers. And in their first season with the Academy, they've been enjoying themselves quite a bit. Anson Salamandic and Aiden Kelly are going to be joining the show next. Aiden Kelly comes from Sioux Lookout, Ontario, and for Aiden, he's from the Paul, Manitoba. Gonna be fun to get into the conversation with them. We're gonna throw it to a commercial break right away, but before we do that, just ending off on that video. Last thoughts on it. They showed the contact information of people you can reach out to if Pilot Mound is that next place you're potentially looking to play. The development camps are going to be coming up before we know it in a few months' time. So, yeah, there's still time to book your spots. Check out pilotmounthockeyacademy.com for all the details. But as I mentioned, we're going to throw it to a commercial break, and then we'll be back here for the interview with Anson Salamandic and as well as Aiden Kelly on the Buffaloes podcast for Season 3, Episode 20. Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, The Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. We got two U15s joining this week's edition of the Buffaloes podcast, and Anson Salamandic and Aiden Kelly. Boys, thanks so much for taking the time and joining the show. How's life been down at Pilot Mound this season?
Yeah, it's been really good. It's honestly a big change from the billet or the dorm life, from eating well, working out every day, and being on the ice every day. It's a lovely experience.
For yourself, Aiden?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like the dorms. I think a lot of people like the dorms. Being on the ice every day is nice. Having the shooting bays whenever you want, going down to the gym whenever you want, it's all nice and stuff.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, it's something that players talk about so often in terms of being one of their favorite parts of the experience at the academy, having that type of extra ice time or extra sessions to be able to practice your skills and fine tune them. But for you, Anson, you come from the Paul, Manitoba, a bit of a shorter trip for yourself down to Pilot Mountain compared to Aiden, who's from Lookout, Ontario. Yeah, what's that been like being able to play in your province, but being away from home for really the first time in your life?
Yeah, it's really unique. Like playing from up north, it's totally different experience from down south. You play teams all over Western Canada, and being from last year up north, you only played in Winnipeg or Brandon, and you never really went anywhere far to experience what you experienced down here.
What's been your favorite, I guess, travel experience so far? Maybe a favorite team you've been able to play against? What's been the highlight so far of your first year down at Pilot Mountain for yourself?
Yeah, definitely that first trip to Calgary was definitely an experience. First time for me, at least, traveling as a team in a bus, and just it's really cool how it is and how to travel that far together, and it's just really fun with the team.
And I'm not sure if Aiden would agree with that. Maybe you would. Would you say that that first bus trip down to Calgary has been one of the highlights for yourself so far? Or what's been the big highlight for Aiden Kelly at this point down at Pilot Mountain?
I like the first Med Hat tournament we went to. It
Yeah.
was pretty fun. A good bus trip. We had a lot of free time. Went to the mall and stuff, especially as good team bonding.
Yeah, those trips are always so special, right? You're on the road with the boys, playing some hockey, and you get to go on some adventures, check out,
Yeah.
some different stuff you haven't before. What's that been like? I'll get both of your opinions on this, but we'll start off with Aiden. What's that been like coming together with this group this season, meeting new friends, and bonding with this team?
It's awesome, man. I love it here. All the boys are amazing. You know, they help you out whenever you need it. Just amazing being on the ice with them every day too, living in the same hall as them.
Well, for sure, you're seeing these boys pretty much every single moment of your life, right? For yourself, Anson, has that been quite a change in experience? Seeing your teammates, your brothers every day. What's that been like?
Yeah, it's really different. I came here knowing nobody. I might have known one person from Shrouds, but we've definitely came together, hanging out every day, working out every day, shooting pucks every day. We do everything together, and it's really fun to be with this group of guys.
And that's what I mean makes Pilot Mound such a special place. Is they also just really emphasize that those family values, right? And I'm sure you two have been firsthand experience at that all season long. For yourself, Anson, you're a defenseman. Aiden, you're a forward. Give the viewers a bit of an insight. We'll start off with Anson in terms of what type of player they can expect to see when they come out to watch you.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I'm more of a puck moving defenseman, always trying to make that good first pass and on the power play, looking for those seams, making sure somebody's always open and finding the easier play rather than the harder play.
For yourself, Aiden, how would you describe your game as a forward?
I describe myself as a power forward, getting in the dirty areas of the ice, winning battles, back checking hard.
And also been able to put up some points this year in terms of CSSHL play, 4 goals, 5 assists for 9 points, 10 points in 10 games in exhibition slash tournament play. Have you felt like as time has gone along too throughout this season, you've been able to find more confidence as you've been more accustomed to this level at this point?
Yeah, it gets you fit in better, you know, you find your groove as you go on. Just gets easier all around playing, especially when you like find out how to play with your new teammates, just brand new teammates. Takes a little bit of time.
Oh, for sure. It takes some time to build that chemistry, right? For yourself, Anson, how would you say you felt you've been able to adjust to this type of level?
Yeah, I've been able to adjust really well. As last year, the competitive level from last year's league to this year's league is a big change. So I just had to step it up a bit. And I finally think I've found myself in this groove here, competing with everyone and trying to stay at the same level as everyone.
Must be a bit of an eye opener too, hey, knowing how really, truly how good this league is. Of course, Anson, you played at a high level heading into last year to this year. Same with yourself, Aiden. Is that what makes it even more fun, though, knowing that the competition, the stakes as the season goes along, ramps up even that much more?
Yeah. For me, yeah, it's definitely really competitive. Everybody's trying to figure a spot, especially with our year. The WHL draft is coming up. Everybody's fighting for a team to pick on them and see why that team wants them. So everybody's competing hard every day, and it's just who's going to work harder is who's going to get that spot.
Of course, I guess that's going to be here before we know it, right? Hockey season's flown by pretty quickly, and we're already pretty much a month out from playoffs into the February. For this U15 squad, they've been able to pick up one win so far during 2026. There hasn't been that many games played. You guys only played 3 games in January, but what's that been like being able to get back in the swing of things after being off for a while with Christmas break?
It was pretty good. I was excited to come back. I mean, I missed this place after 2 weeks. It's awesome. It was easy to get back in, if I'm being honest. Our first period wasn't very good, and we got right back into it. Going into Saha, we didn't do too bad either.
For you, Anson, what's that transition been like getting back into it after the break?
Yeah, it was definitely different just at Christmas, skating, seeing everybody, family, and then coming right back into it, skating every day, working out every day. just getting back into that groove and saying what Aiden said. First period for our first game wasn't the best, and then we finally found our groove for the rest of the month, I should say, and saw how it was a really good competitive games.
And knowing that this team was able to go out and compete as well as they did against Saha, knowing that Pilot Mound is a bit of a smaller academy compared to the rest, does this give you boys as well as the rest of your teammates a lot of pride knowing that this is a team that can't really be overlooked?
Yeah. Yeah, for our small team, we only were created 11 years ago. So the team, or the academy, I should say, has come a long way to battle with these teams that have been here for 20 years and develop a lot more kids. And being in cities, finding over 150 kids to pick from, it's definitely harder for us, but we still come out every day and give it our all.
And gonna need a really good effort coming up against RHA Winnipeg. You boys are gonna be on the road, little road trip to Winnipeg, Manitoba, this Saturday, and then of course there's gonna be quite a few games coming up the weekend afterwards, as you boys will be heading to Thunder Bay, Ontario. But another chance to prove yourselves against a really highly touted program in RHA Winnipeg. I'll get Aiden's thoughts on this heading in. What's the vibes been like preparing for this upcoming week of action? I know that you boys have had a little more time off compared to the rest of the academy.
Time's been good. We've been using it wisely. Lots of practicing, hard in the gyms, hard on recovery, going on free ice whenever we can. The shooting base, just getting prepared for these games.
Anson, what's been, I guess, the defensive approach heading into this next one against an RHA team that plays quite fast?
Yeah, definitely. They're a really fast-paced team, but they're also a really, I'd say, not dirty, but really physical. So they tend to take penalties, and that's what I think our advantage is going to be. As our past 3 games against them have been neck and neck and just battle to the last buzzard. It's going to be definitely a hard one, but I think we can take it to them if we give it our all.
And last time these two teams faced off was back in November, where RHA came away with the 2-0 victory down in Pilot Mound. But it's a new year. That's quite a bit of time a ways from since then till now. And yeah, pretty good odds, I think, that this team could potentially pull off an upset. That's what I'm hoping for, at least to see. And I mean, Anson and Aiden looking to be a big part of that for their U15s coming up this weekend in Winnipeg on Saturday. Anson, Aiden, thanks for taking the time, boys. Best of luck moving forward here and continue to enjoy your time down at Pilot Mountain. Great to hear you're both having a blast.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And it seems like it's always usually the same answers from players, and I mean, nothing wrong with that. Players always rave about the setup that Pilot Mound has, and just in terms of those trips that they take, the views that they see for some of these kids, it's something that they haven't really seen before. And I mean, just getting to hear a great experience so far from Anson Solomondic and Aiden Kelly, that's fantastic to hear so far, and great to know that, well, for that U15 Buffalo squad, they're feeling good heading into their next matchup, which will be against RHA Winnipeg, as that's their only game in their return to action this weekend, as they had a week off to prepare for this one, get their bodies right, all that good stuff. I mean, they are still pretty much, kids at this point, U15s, so you recover a bit faster than people that are a bit older, but from a physicality standpoint and mentally probably too. But yeah, still a lot of good rest heading into this one against a U15 RHA team. That is always a good challenge. Last time these two teams played were a few months ago, and Pilot Mountain gets them for the first time here in 2026. That game will be in Oak Bluff, Manitoba at the Rink Training Center. You can watch it on Flow Hockey on Flow Sports if you have a subscription there. The male U17 preps in action down in Blackjack Stewart Arena, even though they say the location is to be determined. But yeah, two good matchups for the U17s to test themselves as they continue to ramp up for the playoff season. The female U18 Prep Buffaloes looking to limit the scores a bit against two pretty good programs in Saha and Edge. Those games will be down in Alberta. You can catch them on Flow Sports, Flow Hockey, as mentioned. And then the male U18 Prep Buffaloes going down to Quebec to Montreal to face off against whole bunch of different teams: Ontario Hockey Academy, Stansted College, and Rothsay Netherwood School. And then, of course, Sunday's matchups are to be determined as of right now. And, of course, as mentioned, those games can be seen on Flow Hockey on Flow Sports. As for us here, G-Show Productions, this is going to do it for this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. I've been your host and play-by-play commentator, Graham the G-Show Forsyth. Not play-by-play commentator, but just your host. I'm getting ahead of myself, Buffaloes fans, because, well, we're going to be broadcasting some high school hockey on our network. We got 2 more games left on our regular season schedule before our playoff coverage starts next week. So be sure to tune in on our Uscreen service, gshowproductions.uscreen.io, if you want to check out different hockey from around the province of Manitoba that isn't strictly CSSHL. We're also going to be back to broadcasting female U18 AAA Hockey League action on our network in the MFHL. Friday and Sunday we got the MMJHL All-Star Game, which is pretty exciting in itself as well. That's going to be coming up on Saturday, which... just want to take a look at the rosters quickly to double check something. Buffaloes Nation. That may very much interest you. I wanted to confirm it. I saw it yesterday, and I can confirm that Cal Bielman is going to be competing in the All-Star Game. He plays for the River East Royal Knights in that league. So if you want to check it out, it's $10, and you can watch a former Buffalo play and see where he's at now in his hockey career, being named one of the best players in the league in the MMJHL, making their All-Star Game. So congratulations to Kyle. I'm sure his family's going to be in attendance watching it as well. But in other words, a lot of stuff still to come on the network this week for us with the Buffaloes podcast. We're going to be back next Wednesday for an all-new episode. We hope to have you there to tune in. Special thanks to Gordie as well as Anson and Aiden for being the guest on this week's show. If you did enjoy this edition of the Buffaloes podcast, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications if you haven't already, so you don't miss any future episodes much like this one. Episode 21, Season 3 comes out next Wednesday. Until then, Pilot Mound Hockey Academy Nation, I've been your host, Graham the G-Show Forsyth. Giving you the salute as well as peacing out and waving so long on this Wednesday afternoon. Just after 1:30 here is Tyson Unruh is going to leave us off with his March of the Buffaloes theme. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching.